I've heard you say hundreds, maybe even thousands of times that love is a gift.
Yeah.
And in my heart, I absolutely do not believe that. I feel like love has to be earned.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's never going to be possible for me because I can't get anything right. I can never be good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's my really big block to God. I feel like
it is.
I feel like a dog chasing its tail, trying to be good enough for God to love me, and
yeah.
I could spend the next 1,000 years doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're never going to be good enough for God to love you, actually. Do you understand what I said?
No.
I'm not good enough for God to love me either. The point is that none of us can ever be good enough for anybody to love us. They will love us whether we're good or not. You understand? Whether you're good or not, somebody either chooses to love you or chooses to not love you. That's their choice. And it's got nothing to do with what you do. A person can love you no matter how bad you are. You know, God loves people right in the hells, and they are not good people, and God still loves them.
I know, it just feels like words to me when you say that.
Yep. Well, let's just go through it emotionally. So your belief system is that you have to earn love. Isn't that true?
Yep.
That's the belief system. You that's the false belief system, that you actually believe it's possible to earn love. Otherwise you wouldn't be trying to earn love. You follow me?
Oh, yeah.
So you must believe it's possible to earn love. But the circumstances under which it's possible in your mind are you have to be perfect and then you'll have earned love.
Yeah.
Isn't that the case?
Yeah.
But you believe it's possible to earn love. That's the false belief. You follow me?
Yeah.
And the truth from God's perspective is it's completely impossible to earn love from anyone. You can't earn love at all. There's nothing you can do to get loved. Love is a choice on their part, not on yours. So there's nothing you can do, there's nothing you can say, there's nothing you can be that's going to make somebody love you. They will love you no matter what you are. Do you follow? That's the true belief. So your false belief is, I have to earn love, and if I don't earn love, if I'm not perfect, I won't have love. The true belief is, from God's perspective, is nobody can earn love. A person will be loved when somebody chooses to love them. And God chooses to love you, even though you don't feel that. And you're not feeling it because you think you have to earn it. That's why you're not feeling it. You reject God's love because you think you haven't earned it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you believe the only way to earn it is by being perfect. And you're not perfect, so therefore you haven't earned it. So therefore you have to reject God's love in order for your entire psychological state to remain. You follow? And your psychological state or your psychological belief is, this false belief is, I have to earn love, then I'll get love. But to earn love, I've got to be perfect. And then you're worried now because I've told you basically that you can't get perfect without getting God's love. So there's a problem there. But
no, I've thought that.
Right.
That's the conundrum. Like,
that's right.
I talk to God all the time, and I lie down and I think, all right, God, I do the experiment. And then sometimes I feel like this lightness happen around me, but then it's like I clench.
Yeah, you don't want to receive God's love. You don't. So having to earn God's love is a justification for not receiving God's love. You follow me?
Can you say that again?
Having to earn God's love, the belief that you have to earn God's love is your investment. And it covers over this feeling of what you're going to feel when you receive God's love. What do you think you're going to feel when you receive God's love? You imagine yourself receiving God's love, what do you think you're going to feel? Because that's what you're trying to prevent. You see what I'm saying?
I think I would feel confused.
Why?
It's like whenever you and Mary have given me any positive feedback,
Mm-hmm.
I find it more challenging than when you've given me hard feedback.
I know.
Because
Why?
I don't know.
It's quite easy to see why, if you let yourself look at it. What do you feel? What do you feel when you get positive feedback?
I feel like I must have somehow tricked the person into thinking that there's something good.
So you feel guilty?
I don't know, I've never thought of it that way. But
What do you really feel? Just let yourself feel like, whenever we've given you positive feedback, what have you felt?
well,
You say confused, but underneath that there's feelings that you...
I don't know. I've thought about that so many times, and like I always think, oh, wouldn't it be great to get some positive feedback? And then I do, and then I sit there and I think, you're an idiot. Like in Mergen, like I came back and I thought, oh, what am I doing? These people can't be Jesus and Mary. Like, I mean. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I can feel what you feel, but I don't know if I want to say what you feel while you're not feeling what you feel. You see what I'm saying? Like, I feel that it's very important that a person is able to see and feel their own feelings. So let's, if we look at it so far, what we've covered is this: you have a false belief that you have to earn, that you believe you can earn love. That's your false belief. You believe it's possible to earn love.
Yeah.
Right? And the true belief is it's not possible to earn love. Love is either given or not, depending on the person who gives it. It's got nothing to do with the person who receives it. Like, if I love you, it's got nothing...
I don't feel worth it. That's what I'm feeling.
No, that's not what you're feeling, that's what your belief is.
Mm.
It's not what you're feeling.
I feel useless. Like.
When somebody gives you love, what do you feel? You feel an immense amount of grief when somebody gives you love. Don't you? Right? And that pain, which is resulting from all the times you haven't been loved, you don't want to feel it. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's where you are now. It's feeling some of the grief that you have when you're loved. As soon as I talk about this grief that you have about being loved, you tighten up and freeze up, right? You're so afraid of being loved, right? And so what you need to do is allow yourself to be loved, right? And just cry. Just let yourself feel this grief. But what's happened is that you feel this grief is too much for you to feel. And so what you do is you tell yourself a belief. A belief is that you haven't earned the love, and so you shouldn't be allowed to receive it. You see? And that's where your false belief comes from. You're telling yourself you haven't earned it, and so you shouldn't receive it.
But why am I wanting love if I don't want to feel it?
Well, the reality is everybody wants love, but a lot of us don't want it when it's going to trigger a whole heap of grief in us, a whole heap of painful emotion. And the problem for many of us is we've had a life where we haven't been loved very much at all. So when somebody does actually love us, there's a huge amount of grief-based emotion that gets triggered automatically, right, when somebody loves us. And you're unwilling to feel it. Do you follow? And so you've had to tell yourself that you haven't earned it, so therefore you should reject it. That's what you're doing. And your rejection of love is to control your grief. That's its purpose. So you're rejecting love in order to control grief. You follow? And this is a common problem, because particularly with people that haven't been loved for most of their life, and then all of a sudden somebody comes along and loves them. It's almost like the person they want to get angry with is the person who's loving them, because that person is triggering all of their grief about what's happened in their past. Do you follow? Yeah. And that's what you do. Yep.
Okay.
So the false belief is that you can earn love. You believe you can, and that's false belief. You can't earn love. It doesn't matter what you do, how bad you are, how good you are. You can be perfect, not perfect, whatever. It doesn't mean you're going to get love, because love is a gift that's given from the other person to you, so it's impossible for you to earn it. Love is a choice the other person makes. Do you follow me? Yeah. Now, God's already making the choice to love you, but you're making the choice to reject God's love because it triggers too much grief.
Have I, because a few times I have felt like when I'm in a sincere place, that I can feel like I'll ask God, oh look, I can't do this. Can you please help me? And then...
The question you have is, have you felt some of God's love?
Yeah.
You actually felt some just here while we were sitting here. And then you went rigid and shut it down because it triggers too much grief. So the problem that you're facing is your acceptance of your own grief. That's the real problem you're facing here. The acceptance of the grief comes from the contrast between being loved and having never been loved in the past. Do you follow? That's where the contrast comes from.
So all the times when I've sort of felt like, oh yes, God helped me to go further into that grief, that's actually receiving God's love. A
lot of times you are, you're one of the few people, Elvira, who have changed quite a lot since I've known you, right? And you don't think you have, but you actually have. I remember the first time I met you, you were a nasty person. You really were. And you've changed quite a lot, and so you actually have received some of God's love. But the problem that you have, I'll just let Elvira cry. She didn't expect that. Yeah. The key issue you face is just allowing this intense grief to let it overwhelm you, wash over you when it does, That's the key thing. Just like you're doing now. That's all you need to do, but just really let it go, Does that make sense? But that's where so what I'm explaining to you, I'll say this for Elvira for later, because you'll be able to, darling, you can just go and have a cry, that's fine. And I'll just say it, and then you'll hear it later. All right? It's all right, Elvira. You can actually go out if you want to. I will. You will see. You'll see it. That's fine. Have a good cry. Let yourself have a good cry. Can you see what I was saying to Elvira? She was trying to control her grief by telling herself that she can earn love. Right? When you tell yourself you can earn love, which is a false belief, you're basically suggesting to yourself that it's possible to earn love. And what I'm suggesting to her and to you as an audience is that it's actually impossible to earn love. You can't earn love from anyone. There's nothing you can do to actually get loved. Nothing you can do. Because it's the choice of the other person to love you. It's their choice. And they will either choose to love you or not. It depends completely on what they choose to do. Does that make sense? Now, in God's case, God chooses to love you. And that's always the case. God's choosing to love you all the time. So what's happening for Elvira is God's choosing to love her, but she believes that she has to earn the love, or even can earn the love, and she believes that because it helps her avoid the grief between the contrast of feeling some of God's love enter her and then feeling the contrast between that and how unloved she's been all of her life. Does that make sense? And that amount of grief that's there gets triggered every time she feels just a smidgen of God's love. Just gets triggered. And she wants to control it. So she tells herself she hasn't earned God's love, and then she goes all rigid and shuts down reception of God's love. Right? And God can't give her more. God's trying to, but God can't give her more because she's shut it down. She's shut down the process. Does that make sense? So it's the same kind of cycle. So this is a cycle she's in. She keeps telling herself she's not worthy of receiving God's love, but she's actually telling herself that false belief over and over again because she believes that she can be worthy of God's love. And the reality is nobody can earn God's love, just like nobody can earn anybody else's love. And if you believe you can earn somebody's love, well, you're just wrong. You can't. You can't. Many of you have tried, right, in relationships and so forth, to earn somebody's love. Many of you try it with your parents on a daily basis, trying to get loved from them when they just don't want to love you. You're better off just accepting they don't love you. And the fast way of doing that is receiving some of God's love. And then you'll feel the contrast between the hurt of your parents not wanting you and the love that comes from God, and rather than shutting down that grief, feel it. Just let it wash over you and really go for it. Does that make sense?